In the 1934 film Of Human Bondage, Leslie Howard stars as Philip Carey, a sensitive and self-conscious young man whose club foot has left him emotionally guarded and deeply insecure. Leaving behind his failed aspirations to study art in Paris, Philip returns to London to study medicine. Through a friend, he meets Mildred Rogers, played with raw, unflinching brilliance by Bette Davis, a tea shop waitress whose beauty barely conceals her vanity and manipulative nature. Philip is instantly drawn to her, however, Mildred is aloof, flirtatious, and cruel. Despite her transparent disdain for him, Philip becomes hopelessly infatuated. He eventually proposes marriage, but she coldly rejects him, announcing she's about to wed a wealthier man. Crushed, Philip spends the night wandering the foggy streets of London, dazed and confused. Mildred soon resurfaces, abandoned and humiliated, with a baby in tow. The man she left Philip for was already married. She was nothing more than a passing amusement. Despite everything, Philip takes her back and she moves into his apartment, but her old patterns soon return. She treats him with contempt and grows more brazen in her cruelty. Eventually, Philip tires of the abuse and walks away. Mildred retaliates by trashing his apartment and burning his money. He moves on, eventually finishing medical school and begins a new life. One day, like a ghost from his past, Mildred reappears, but now she's a wreck, broken, sick with tuberculosis, and discarded by every man who once pursued her. She begs Philip to take her back, but Philip, now emotionally spent, looks at her not as a lover, but as a terminal patient. In his eyes, where she once saw passion, she now sees pity. She realizes too late all that she has lost. Mildred eventually dies in a shabby tenement room, unloved and unmourned. Her body is carried away to the very hospital where Philip now works. There, amidst the corridors of his new life, he encounters her again, this time not as a woman he once loved, but merely a statistic. Of Human Bondage is not simply a story of unrequited love, it is a brutal autopsy of the human condition and the self-inflicted chains we wear in pursuit of love, admiration, validation, and control. The film's genius lies in the message that we are all, in some way, in bondage, whether to a person, an ideal, a memory, or an illusion. And when we let those bonds define us, they can consume us. Just as Mildred dies stripped of everything she once used to define her worth, so too can anyone who trades freedom for security, truth for fantasy, or selfhood for approval. Folks, it's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore that Kate Middleton appears to be wasting away before our eyes. Kate made an abrupt cancellation this year from the Royal Ascot. According to this sensational report, a royal insider told the Daily Beast that there was a real sense of panic at the palace Wednesday after Kate Middleton dramatically pulled out of a scheduled appearance at the Royal Ascot horse racing festival at the last minute. The palace has provided no on-the-record explanation for the absence. However, Kate's team sought to play down the idea that the cancellation signaled a downturn in her health, with some media briefed that it was just a question of the princess seeking balance as she continues to recover from cancer. Not the cancer thing again. Didn't they tell us numerous times now that Kate is cancer-free? The UK media has largely gone along with the palace spin. Well, that's an understatement. Dutifully reporting that Kate's decision to abandon the legendary Ascot carriage procession was almost routine. In fact, pulling out of such a high-profile event just over an hour before she was due to appear with the king and queen is highly unusual. Behind the scenes in the royal household, people are far less sanguine. The announcement left staff behind palace walls bewildered and worried as they tried to figure out what was happening. The situation was made worse by the fact that an official carriage list published at noon by the palace said that Kate would be there only for her to cancel within the hour. One former courtier who retains good links with serving staff said everyone was wandering around going, "What is going on?" One minute she was going and the next she wasn't. This is one of the biggest days of the year in the royal calendar. You don't just miss Ascot on a whim, so there was a real sense of panic. The chaotic nature of the announcement was eerily reminiscent of the dark days of last year. The insider added that rumors had briefly swirled around the palace that the future queen had been taken unwell and either needed to see a doctor or had been rushed to the hospital. The Daily Beast reported later on, Kate Middleton's decision to cancel an appearance in the Royal Ascot carriage procession, citing slightly vague reasons of balance, has highlighted simmering tensions with King Charles over their differing priorities. Another source pointed out that Kate and William are simply not very interested in horse racing and that there is a suspicion in some quarters that had Wednesday's event been something she really loved, such as Wimbledon, she might have turned up. Her office has not given a specific reason for her decision not to go to Ascot, instead briefing media that Kate was disappointed not to go but wanted to find the right balance in her return to full-time royal duties. What is going on? Last week at Trooping the Color, the marquee event intended to showcase the strength of the royal family, Kate stood out as usual in an elegant 80s-inspired light blue suit complete with Bob Mackie shoulder pads that made her lines crisp, even severe, putting in stark relief her strikingly thin frame. At one point she sat down and you could visibly see the bones in her back. This is potentially serious, and here's what worries me. If something happens to Kate, what will happen to the children? William is a shitty husband like his father. And judging by the way he has treated his brother, his wife, and even his own father, which reports have stated he bullies, I don't see the children experiencing a very happy childhood. Now, I could be wrong, but I get the feeling that Carole is one of the main enablers, encouraging Kate to maintain the illusion to keep up appearances. Because if Kate falters, Carole loses everything. Carole is very much an active participant in this Windsor Game of Thrones. She wants that prize, and Kate, however tenuous, is her means of getting it. But it's becoming harder to ignore the public shunnings, the awkward interactions, the chilling silences, and the flashes of anger and fear. In short, Kate is destroying her life for the sake of presenting a picture of perfection that everyone already knows is fake. What a waste of one's precious time. And all the propaganda about how in love they are, I think she does that for two reasons. One, the main reason, and this might be controversial, is to prove to Meghan that she too is in a loving, committed relationship with a man that adores her. But it's becoming harder and harder to sell that because everyone knows that William isn't that type of man. William lacks empathy. He doesn't have Diana's loving personality. He takes after his father, which is to say he is selfish, egotistic, and entitled. In many ways, he actually seems worse than Charles in that he is also cruel. And ironically, this is what disturbs him more than anything. Harry got Diana's heart. That Harry inherited his character from Diana and he didn't is a major pain point for William. Diana, adored in life and immortalized in death, became a legend for her humanity. William knows he will never be that, and seeing that spark live on in Harry, his brother, his rival, is enough to send him over the edge. William resents Harry for stealing his thunder and for being more like Diana, but William is a legend in his own mind. He believes that he is the most admired man in the world. With a press at his beck and call, he can commission a poll proclaiming him the sexiest man alive, or rather the sexiest bald man alive, because even the sycophantic press couldn't go that far. With the help of his friends, he can commission a YouGov poll declaring that he is the most popular royal, beating even Kate, something he was never able to do, and which no doubt always bothered him. William is Charles's son through and through. Both men born into a role they reluctantly want, but are thoroughly undeserving of, primed from birth to believe that they are special, yet fate has endowed them with no special talents. And speaking of resentments, Charles secretly resents his mother. He and Camilla had to wait almost a lifetime for the crown. Camilla, for her part, is resentful of Diana. She spent her best years in Diana's shadow when she was her most youthful, chasing after a man who was never fully hers. The crown may have landed on her head, but the real throne, the hearts of the people, was claimed long ago by a woman she could never outshine, and she knows it. Each line on her face serves as a tally mark of the years spent battling a ghost who always came out on top. Kate resents Meghan for having the life that she wants, not necessarily the money, although she loves the lifestyle the money affords her, but the loving relationship. She was very close to Harry. She knows the type of man he is. That is who she wants. But she also knows that she can never have him. She's known that all along. But while he was still there, he was a buffer, a third wheel, or a shoulder to cry on. When William was being cold to her, she could run over to Harry's flat at Kensington Palace to chat and have a laugh. I don't think people realize how much losing Harry meant to Kate. But now that he's gone off and married with children, I think she realizes finally that he's never coming back. This has exasperated her eating disorder. How long can she keep up this charade? Kate would rather have everyone think she's in a happy marriage by commissioning highly produced, staged video shoots of her and William romping through the forest like teenagers, or briefing the press to print articles about their look of love based on a split-second glance. How much longer will Kate endure being William's doormat? It is plainly evident that it is affecting her health, and not the health story they've tried to sell us, but a different health story altogether, one that is hiding in plain sight. Now folks, as much as the Kate drama has provided entertainment, I have to be brutally frank here and to ask this question: who is looking out for Kate Middleton? She is wasting away before our eyes, and there doesn't seem to be anyone in her corner. Kate's brand is perfection, but perfection is killing her. She would much rather pretend to be in a happy relationship so the public will accept her fairy tale version of reality than to actually be happy. The eating disorder is a prime example of this. Western society praises women who are thin. The thinner the better, it seems. We live in a society that can't seem to find the right balance between beauty and self-acceptance. Not enough people are talking about the fact that Kate is looking dangerously thin. Eating disorders are often a response to a loss of control and agency. Kate has relinquished everything to the Windsors, and refusing to eat is the only control she has left. There was her marquee appearance at Trooping the Color, followed by an appearance made at the Garter ceremony, where she appeared in good spirits. But like everything about Kate, you can never tell what is real and what is a performance. And let me just end this by saying, as blunt as I possibly can, without this video being flagged or taken down altogether, if someone does not intervene, Kate Middleton is not going to make it. Her disappearance last year may very well have had something to do with anorexia. Her husband, who should be the person to help her, despises her. He cheats on her, embarrasses her in public, and treats her like a doormat. William is a horrible husband, and I don't know, maybe a horrible father. Carole is busy cheesing it up with the king. All she can see is the big prize. She doesn't seem to care much about anything else. Pippa is out of the picture and has been for some time now. She is done with her sister. She never forgave Kate for tanking her shot at fame. Pippa feels that Kate sabotaged her burgeoning career in media when she persuaded her not to market her book while she was at the height of her popularity and about to make bank. Kate persuaded Pippa to drop everything for her, and she did. Then Kate, or some version of Kate, showed up on a screen last year telling everyone she had the big C. There was no doubt in my mind that this caught Pippa by surprise. None whatsoever. Fight me on this. Pippa knows the cancer story is just another chapter of Kate playing perfection to the public for sympathy, but mainly to cover up for the fact that her life is actually not perfect at all. James is busy trying to make a buck, and poor sweet Michael Middleton is snowballed by his ambitious wife. And besides that, Kate has no friends. I think throughout the years, many of her uni friends just went on with their lives and eventually lost touch. It happens. Camilla hates her. Charles seems exasperated with her. It's paradoxical. Here she is fighting to show the world that she is perfect, but everyone around her finds her problematic. The only people left in Kate's world who truly love and care for her are her children, but they are too young to do anything to help her. And I have a sinking feeling that they've been traumatized by seeing her at her most vulnerable because of their father. So that's all, folks. That's the video. Be sure to leave your comments and let me know what you think, because I don't know, time might be running out for her.